Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live. Thank you for joining us. We're going to try and have a good show. We're going to try and talk about all the latest. We'll try not to repeat too much of the stuff that we have discussed, but we'll see where the conversation goes. And the conversation's always good with the original OG, the founder of Four Lads Podcast, Kenny. How are you, mate? You well?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yeah. Things are always a little bit brighter when Rangers are winning. So, yeah, it's been a decent enough weekend, mate. Enjoyed myself and looking forward to this. See where the chat goes.
Yeah, we'll see what it is. And do you know what? I'm really happy. This young lady here, Karen, stopped me on Friday night at the game, Kenny. And you may be wondering why you're saying, because she stopped me and she said, "How is Edith?" And I was like, "What?" And I didn't know what she meant. And you know what I'm like? It takes a minute before it kind of clocks in. And she's like, "Kenny, how's Kenny?" There we go. So, good evening, Karen. Really nice to meet you. Thanks. I really appreciate it when people say and stop you and say about your supports. That was quite an amusing moment for me, Kenny.
Yes, well, Karen, a client of mine on Friday morning also said the same about Edith. Walked in and called me Edith and said that he buckled for about 10 minutes solid when he seen the comment. That's relating back to my strange voice a couple of weeks ago. And it's still not quite right, believe it or not. Every now and again, I go a wee bit high-pitched or I'll lose my voice completely. So, it was funny, though. A very funny comment. And I felt for poor Amrit when we were on because the two of us were howling at it. And he was like, "What are you laughing at?"
Yeah, Amrit's not available this evening. As you know, folks, this is like a voluntary thing. So when we do shows, whoever's on with us, like, so whether it's somebody asked, was Cheryl no longer allowed on the pod? And then somebody was asking after Amrit and stuff like that. It's all about the individual's availability. And if they want to come on, they come on. Like tonight, Kenny and I are the only ones available. So we're here to try and give you a decent show. So with that, Kenny, 5-0 against Annan on Friday evening. Really comfortable workout. I think what I liked about it was the efficiency of it all. I said it last night. I thought it was a really good performance. And we made it look normal. We made it look like it's what we should be doing. And thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it. We all think we should turn up and beat Annan 5-0. But as you and I have both seen in the past, it's not quite as easy as that. But I tend to think that the way Rule has got this team playing now, that it's with ease, somewhat. A professional ease. And I thought they showed that on Friday night.
They really did, yeah. And the first 5 minutes were a bit, here, what's going on? Because I thought Annan came out all guns blazing, passed it about really well. And with our first real opportunity, we went up the park. Nice goal, good finish from Bojan Majowski. And from there, it was kind of plain sailing. But look, we've seen many, many times. I mean, you can look at Aberdeen versus Darvel a few years ago, or even yesterday, down at Rugby Park. These games can be tricky, So good professional job, well done for us, Stevie, and to jump right forward, one of the best free kicks you're ever likely to see, and you've become a gif, a meme. You and Chris, you're all over the place in my chats, mate, and it's very funny. Your reaction to that goal was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a nice moment. It's always nice to catch a live goal, isn't it? It was great for Chris to have his experience on the gantry for the first time. He'll be back, certainly. Talking about Asgard, I suppose we can jump to talk about that. Kenny, I still feel like he's not as influential as his skill set would suggest, because he's very capable of keeping the ball. He's very capable of scoring goals. I would like to see him be 20 yards further forward. That's my primary concern when it comes to Taylor Asgard. It always looks like he's dipping a toe into the game and playing on the periphery and not actually in it. Now, I'm brought up with liking a different type of player. I liked my Stuart McCalls, my Ian Ferguson, my Trevor Stevens. I like my hard-working guys with the engine in midfield. So the ones that are a bit more flamboyant for me, like I was never a huge Thomas Buffel fan, and other people absolutely loved them. And there's similarities in the way that they play the game, and like always on the kind of outskirts, but capable of moments of magic. And I think that that's what Telo Asgard is. I think he's somewhat of a hybrid between an 8 and a 10 that hasn't really settled into Rangers yet. He started popping up with some magnificent goals. I want to see more. That's what I want to see. He's either an out-and-out 10 for me, sitting up with a striker and getting involved, or he's an 8 and somebody in midfield. So we need to find out what we really want to do with him. What I will say is that free kick was absolutely magnificent. Couldn't have been better, actually. And it was funny at the time that Annan players were given the goalkeeper stick, and there was absolutely no way in hell that he could have got there. Reminded me of James Tavernier at Tynecastle, Tannadice. And people have then said it reminded them of Tavernier against Celtic at Celtic Park as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of James Tavernier-esque kind of free kicks in there that we could, but that was a worldie. Where are you on Telo Asgard? It doesn't seem like that long ago after Parkhead, we were like, that's another disappointing result, performance by him. Amrit described him as an Alsatian, looking for somewhere to take a shit, didn't he? And that caused a bit of an uproar. And laughter, but he needs to be, I think he needs to be a bit more. That's what I'm trying to get at. I can't really describe it better.
No, I understand what you mean, though. For me, it's been a really tough 6-7 months for him, hasn't it? Because he's turned up under Russell Martin. I don't think any of them did themselves any justice. I think he's beginning to get up to speed with the kind of pace of the game up here. He's beginning to, how would I put this? I think he's beginning to know when to go and when to sit, if you know what I mean. I know what you mean by the Thomas Buffel thing. I wasn't a great fan of Thomas Buffel, but I'll tell you who he reminds me of in terms of that languid kind of style. And I'm not comparing here before anybody goes off, for goodness sake, but he reminds me of Alexei Mikhailichenko in terms of the way he flits in and out of games and looks lazy, where I don't think he's quite as lazy as Alexei Mikhailichenko was, because he was certainly lazy, if you know what I mean. When he couldn't be bothered, he couldn't be bothered. But what a football player he was. But it's that kind of style that can frustrate you sometimes, because he will flit in and out of games, where I'm like you. I'd actually like to see him bang in the middle as a number 10. I actually think he could do a great job there. I think the physicality there kind of suits him. I think between him, Mikey Moore, and well, we've got lots of options up there now. Put it that way. We've got we've got the right side sorted and stuff like this. I think the balance might work out slightly better for him. I think that's been an issue where you think back to, and I don't like doing this because there will be people listening to this who weren't at the live show, but Mark Haitley turned around and said it, that your number 9 is the most important player in that team, because he'll bring the other players in. If he can hold it up, get in the shoulder of one of the different centre halves, he brings those others into the game. And I think that's been part of our problem as well, Stevie, is that we've had a number of guys trying to bed in, trying to understand what Russell Martin was doing, getting that, thrown away, and coming in and trying to understand now what Danny Rowe's trying to do. And you can see it week by week. We are getting more and more like a unit, a proper unit. You can see that. And I think that can only help him. I'm going to be one of those two-faced guys, because I'm now beginning to sway and turn in his favour. Because if you'd asked me this, in fact, I've well quoted on here the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've given it, I just don't see it in him. The last few weeks, you are beginning to see he's got product, an end product. He's got goals. He's 4 and 6 now. and he's making his mark, Stevie. And if he can persist, continue with that and persist with getting into the right areas, because I think exactly what you're saying is exactly the issue. We don't want to see him in the halfway line. We don't want to see him in the centre circle. We want to see him run about the edge of the box. That's where you will see the best of him. And if you can get that creativity into his game, on a regular basis, then we've got a great player in our hands, because the talent is clearly there, Stevie. That's what I'd say. And I think we've all been saying this. He is obviously a very tidy player. It's the product that we need. It's the end product. It's the goals, the assists. It's all that we need from our front forward players, and he is beginning to contribute to that. So delighted for the young boy, and it just seemed like a massive release when that ball went in. He just looked absolutely, well, thank goodness they can see what I'm about a little bit. Where I think he knows it's been difficult for him, but it's been difficult for everybody in that team this season, Stevie. So I just want to stay on the positive side and keep getting the results and keep bigging this team up and supporting them, because at this point in the season, they're going to need every single one of us to back them to the hill, and that's what we're going to try and do.
Yeah, and that's all very admirable, and I get it, and I'm all for getting behind the team and the players. I'm certainly behind Tello Asgard. However, it needs a wee bit more from me before I'll be jumping on the Asgard train and thinking that he's the answer. He's got a lot more to prove. Parkhead wasn't that long ago. So even Pittodrie, I think at times he's got a tendency to take a wee yellow and kind of flutter out games and stuff like that. Has he got individual quality? Yes, I'll say it again. He reminds me so much of Ovi Ajaria, the way he used to float in and out of games and just like be so really talented. But I'm not sure I'm convinced. So there's a lot more to do, but it's good to have the issue when he's bending in top corner free kicks and scoring 4 and 6 to still be sitting here and saying we would look for a wee bit more for him. Other things that happened on Friday night, a Bojan Majowski hat-trick, really needed for Bojan, and took his goals well. First one, the chop inside on the left foot. Second, a good header because that cross was hanging up. And then the third, obviously, a well-dispatched penalty kick. We need a striker that's going to go on a run and score 10 goals, 12 goals in this running. Every striker has performed slightly above their XG, but we're in a conundrum because Yusuf Chermiti has scored at Parkhead and then not followed it up. He missed a good chance at Pittodrie, but leads the line probably better than everybody else. Danilo is, I'm sorry, not in form at all. Looks leggy, looks like he's completely lost it, to be quite honest. He's searching and games are passing him by. So yeah, that leaves us with Bojan Majowski and Chermiti kind of finding it out. For me, I still think we need somebody else. We need another goal threat. Yeah, we need another goal threat for me, Kenny. Bojan Majowski, I don't think he's been great. I really don't think he's been great in the slightest. I don't think he involves himself. I don't think he leads the line the way that Mark Hateley talks about a 9 bringing himself in. Is Skov Olsen and Gassama type on the wingers going to be the ones that provide more chances for him? Then potentially, yes. But somebody needs to grab the number 9 jersey and keep it and help us, because if we don't do that and we don't address that, or the players themselves don't address that, I can't help but feel we're going to come up short, because this 9 issue is key to us being whoever gets it. Like Bojan Majowski needs to follow up his hat-trick on Friday by scoring 2 against Dundee or scoring on Thursday night. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, but the chances are he probably won't start against Dundee at the weekend, Stevie. I think Chermiti will start. I think he's got the jersey because of his all-round performances. But you are absolutely nailed on when you say that we need our strikers to score lots of goals between now and May, because we do. I feel sorry for Danilo. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence, a lack of fitness, or just an uncertainty about his future here or whatever. I don't know if he's been told anything. I genuinely have no idea. But he my biggest concern about Danilo here is, Stevie, is that he's bailing out of 50-50s. He's bailing out of them a lot. He's not going in for challenges that he could win, and he's not going there, and that is a genuine worry for any player. That is that.
I'm going to be really harsh, and I love Danny, and fine well I do.
Yeah.
Recent performances, it looks like he's wearing lead boots.
Yeah, I know.
And players' confidence can make them look and appear like that, but he's not got a zip in his game. That game on Friday night passed him by.
Yeah, it did. And this is my kind of concern about him, is the injury that the injuries that he suffered over the piece just not helping him at all. And I don't know, Stevie. I genuinely don't know. But if I'm being 100% honest, I think we're in a little bit of a situation with this now where I don't think the club will carry 4 number 9s. I just don't think they will. I just feel that we're in a situation where you probably need one of the strikers to go before you could bring another one in, and that one would without hesitation for me be Danilo, just because I just don't think he's contributing enough at all, Stevie. And as you say, that game passed him by, but that's not the first game that's completely passed him by. On Bojan Miovski, yep, good, all good finishes. The cross from Finlay Curtis is a tremendous old-fashioned cross to the back stick, mate. You don't see them very often. It's basically a tap-in header. Took it well, but lovely work from Finlay Curtis. He had a tremendous wee 20-minute spell in the first half where he just ran amok down that right-hand side when they switched him over. But we need Chermiti to find his shooting boots. He needs to score goals. Miovski needs to score goals. You can't expect the two of them to sit there and play, or one of them to sit and play 90 minutes every week. We're going to have to chop and change a little bit. We're going to have to give one of them an hour, and then the other one half an hour, 90 minutes, then the next 90 minutes, that type of thing. And for me, it's a situation where I don't think you necessarily want to have 2. You really want 3. And I don't think Danilo's ever going to get a sniff in the number 9 position, Stevie. We're even playing him further back slightly to try and link up, which he's been decent at in his time here. That is the one thing you could, but he's not even doing that very well, Stevie. He looks as if he's won a raffle to get in the pitch at times, and that's never a good sign. And I mean this in no harm to him, because he's a lovely chap. He really is. But he's just not playing well enough to get a game for Rangers at this moment in time, Stevie. So it's a little bit of a... if we want to go and try and challenge for this league, that's what I'd say. I think we need 3 that are capable of going in and there and scoring goals for us. And the jury's out on all 3 at this minute in time. That's the issue. And if you're looking at trying to improve on that, as I say, I genuinely don't believe for a minute that the club's going to carry 4 number 9s. It's pointless. So I think one of them would have to go, even on loan or whatever, and I think that would be Danilo that they would look to offload, sadly. But it's a tough one, Stevie, because we're in the situation that we've found ourselves in, where we are now within touching distance of this, the top of this league. Then we really do need to find the likes of Scott Olsen coming in is a great situation where he can add goals and assists. The strikers are going to have to perform on the left-hand side, whether it's Gassama, Moore, Asgard. All these guys are going to have to find goals and contributions from all around there, including the midfield as well, but particularly the forward players. And if you're being honest, mate, none of them have scored enough. And that's the kind of problem that we have to find that formula where we can get our number 9 in the 6-yard box. And hopefully Scott Olsen is a part of that jigsaw, or, that we can start to release the number 9s in key areas, because it's been an issue for us. But again, as I say, I'm looking at Miovski. It's good to get 3 goals against Annan. I think it will make Danny Rule pick him At the weekend, no, I don't. Actually, I think Jermita will start, and there's a reason for that. It's because he links up much better than Bojan Miovski does, and
yeah, we'll need to just see what happens. Somebody needs to take the mantle. The comment there that I put up was none of the nines are good enough. Sadly, I don't think any of them have showed that. There was a cup draw. We are at home to either Stranraer or Queen's Park, which is a repeat of last season's fifth round tie. We all know how that went, Kenny. It's a sad thing to be talking about revenge against Queen's Park. I'd quite like to draw them and put that right for me. It's never really going to put it right, I suppose. That's an awful way to look at it. Positively, it's a home draw. We can't take anything lightly. We didn't want a tough away game. We've not got it. Hibs and Hearts both going out of the cup over the weekend was a bonus for Rangers, because you never want a trip to Easter Road or Tynecastle, and it's always likely. So, yeah, good draw for me, with being respectful and professional about it.
Yeah, I'm like you though. Yeah, I hope Queen's Park win that tie and they come, and we put some wrongs to right. Put it that way. It's a shambles. If you remember that last season, it goes down as the worst result in my lifetime. I've got to say, absolutely horrendous, and I would very much like to put that to bed by getting them there and turning them right over, to be honest. And that's no disrespect to them, because it's Queen's Park, innit? But it's one of those crazy things that people forget about that game. We will all always remember the result, but we had 30 odd shots at goal that day, mate. We just couldn't score. Cyril Dessers was a prime candidate for couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo that day, and it's just one of those.
Went clean through twice in the last 5 minutes, and we missed a penalty.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, and that's what I'm saying. I would like to see Queen's Park get through the tie. I would presume they probably will. Although I do know that I think Stranraer are playing really well. I think they're in, is it League One, League Two? I think they might be in League Two, mate. But they're flying quite high, and so they'll be playing reasonably well. So it'll be a tough enough tie for them. But whoever we get, listen, I would expect to go through. I'm not being blasé or complacent, but I expect Rangers to beat both of those teams every day of the week. So, yeah, I would like it to be Queen's Park, though, just because to get them so quickly after last season would be quite nice. Put it that way.
Yeah, it certainly would. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, there was a post last night on social media from our friend at Rangers Fan Advisory Board regarding FAB member Gary Ralston. Gary is facing a health challenge, which typically he will battle head on. The post read that Gary was diagnosed with prostate cancer last year, and despite undergoing surgery, the cancer is now considered advanced, which requires a cocktail of hormone treatments and intensive radiotherapy, which will begin shortly at the Beatson. Despite this, Gary is committed to raising money for the Edith Brown Appeal, a charity that supports children with cancer across Scotland with respite care. Gary will compete in the High Rocks in the SEC in March and has set up a Just Giving page to raise funds in memory of Ailey. And there's a link, and you can donate to Gary's appeal on Just Giving page, which is on the Rangers Fan Advisory Board pages and social media. Personal message to Gary. Gary's been fantastic, a big Rangers fan. Cancer has no colours, and it is as ruthless as it is heartbreaking. Gary, you've got this, mate. We're all behind you, and if anyone can donate, please do so, folks. Gary's a lovely guy. A bigger Rangers fan you'll probably not meet. I really hope that we can try and help him. We have some money going over from Four Lads Had a Dream to support that. So if you can, please check out Rangers Fan Advisory Board and try and support that. Kenny, some news today regarding Club 1872, who are going through a bit of a transition. This is a difficult subject for people because for many that they're maybe a busted flush, they maybe haven't done anything they've been silent for so long. I understand all the sentiment, but they've made a £220,000 investment into making the stadium better. On that, they hope to improve and do renovations in the blue room, the trophy room, and the manager's office, lighting, artwork, etc. The Lions crest mosaics at either end of the main stand stadium to be tidied up and fixed. Steel framework on the club deck to be cleaned up and fixed also. Track around the pitch to get upgraded. Walter Smith and John Gregg statues to be given wax coatings. In turn, Club 1872 will be given the chance to buy shares at share issues, and they are promoting this as a new phase in their development. I do know that they're looking for new members and looking for new candidates to stand. Some of the old members who people feel have maybe been there for too long are leaving. This is a complete, I wouldn't say rebrand, but it's a complete relaunch of trust, I think, on their behalf. They are trying to bring it into a new development. I think that Club 1872 and the promise around it and the idea of it is absolutely fantastic. I don't think that they have delivered in recent years, and I think they've failed the support on that. A lot of people paying in, and it's just went silent. I think they've got a long way back. Ewan McFarlane, I think, who's involved in it now, is a really good guy. We'll hopefully have Ewan on in time to kind of discuss this. But what's your thoughts on Club 1872 and the latest news of the money they're putting in?
On the latest news, I'm actually delighted with this. I think that is, for me personally, that I'm not a contributor to Club 1872, and I never have, mate. And I've had my issues or concerns about the way they go about things for many, many years. But look, it's on the idea that this is a heritage plan or something they're calling it. You know, it's to invest heavily into the football club and to get scenarios where they can genuinely help. And those little things like the three rooms that you're talking about, the trophy room, the blue room, the manager's office, that's a brilliant idea. Like maintaining the statues, a brilliant idea. The mosaics, brilliant idea. All that, you know, stuff like I think they were talking about the club deck, the steel work up there was going, you know, the white steel work up there was going to get painted and cleaned up and painted, and, you know, an overall kind of cleaning up the stadium and stuff like that they can help with. That is exactly the type of thing that if you're looking at fan groups like that, that's exactly the type of thing that I would actually contribute to. So I never wanted to contribute to them getting shares. I just never understood the concept of trying to get 25% or whatever it was they were trying to get. I just never felt it was feasible. It's that age-old story, or the funny, or whatever you want to call it, about putting two Rangers fans on a desert island and you'll have three supporters clubs by the end of the week. And it's kind of the way we are, trying to amalgamate thousands upon thousands of Rangers supporters and getting them all thinking as one just doesn't work. So this type of thing would genuinely help with that, I think, because it's a much simpler idea. It's a much simpler concept for a fan group, and good if they can do this and get more members they contributing it on their monthly subscriptions or scheme or whatever it is to call it, and they can therefore buy more shares. I've got no issue with that, because from there I can see the club benefiting from it, and that's a real positive for me. Things like that would make a massive difference, actually. Like, you know, if you're going, you know, if you've done the stadium tour, I'm sure, but if you go on this tour and all of a sudden you do it one year and you go the next year and you see that all the rooms are different and you know, they've all been tidied up and upgraded, that'd be fantastic. That's the type of thing that would help. But on 1872, I've just had more issues than the bureau with them at times, mate, and a few of them I have no idea if they're still there or not. I don't pay much attention, but they didn't like me very much either. So it's just one of these things that I've kind of switched off from them, and you never hear from them very much these days. And this is the type of thing that could get them back on track and actually help the football club and give the supporters that do, pay into that scheme, actually, it's a telling contribution from the people that would do it. And I love the idea, I've got to say. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So that's kind of my take on it. And I'm not going to say too much else because I don't want to get myself into trouble.
Let's move on and talk about transfers. There's been an interesting thing happening, Kenny. I don't know if you've noticed. Chris Jack and others in the media have been writing about this, and it's no surprise to me that Andrew Kavanagh has been over and been speaking behind the scenes. The narrative has shifted a wee bit away from Rangers being proactive and going out and getting signings. It's almost like the narrative is changing, that we've done our business. The three big areas we wanted to do, so that was left back, midfield and right wing, they're done. We've spent a lot of money. The business isn't over, but instead of being proactive, we're going to be reactive. We're looking for two players. We're looking for a 6. We're looking for a forward. Didn't specify a 9 or a 10. It's a forward position, somebody who's going to score goals. But instead of proactively going out to get someone that they might have in mind, it's almost like they're prepared to sit back and wait for a week or two and see how the end of this window develops, see what is going to become available. Now, what's interesting about that is maybe they do have somebody in mind that maybe they're not sure is going to be available or not, but the club have not told officially that, but it seems to be the line that the journalists now are going with. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I thought that was an interesting dynamic change. They're not saying they're not going to sign anybody. They're not saying that we're done. We're certainly not. Danny Rule wants more signings. The word is that 2 more is the target. But instead of actively going out, they're prepared to sit and wait and see what's going to happen. A 6 and a forward seems to be where we are, but they're surveying the market to see what opportunities. That tells me, Kenny, that things are maybe happening that we don't know about. They're prepared to sit and wait for 1 or 2, perhaps. Certainly going to be an interesting final 10, 11 days or so.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one because I noticed it myself when you're saying that the likes of Chris and Joshua were very tellingly saying that the business that they wanted to do at the start, in the lead up to this window, they've done it. They've actually got the 3 key positions that they wanted. And then you look at the way they're talking about that. Joshua, I was talking today, Joshua Barry, was written today, saying that, I think he was talking, I think it was in the podcast, the reviewer that I watched this morning. I think he said that it probably be more about goings out this week. And I thought that was quite a telling way of putting it, that they might be looking at saying, right, well, we need to get 2 or 3 out the door, not for any other reason than just the explanation that Danny Rule has given us, that there's no point in certain guys kicking about here. They're not going to get a game. So we need them to get game time. So away you go out on loan or whatever and get that game time. But I'm like you. I actually think that, you might well find that it could be literally down to the second last day of this window where they are going to sit there. And as you say, perhaps it might be different. It might be that they've got somebody in mind, but they don't think he's going to become available to the last day or 2 of this window. But I think they've got a list and they're going to wait and see how the land lies effectively. The landscape is is quite calm at this minute in time. There's not huge amounts of business being done anywhere. If you actually look at it, there's not a massive amount being done, Stevie, and I think that's where you always get that kind of manic last 24, 48 hours where clubs then begin to say, I really need, a manager says, I really need this particular player, therefore that player's going to go, and everything changes in the last 2 or 3 days. And I think that's probably where I see it, is that, yeah, they fancy another 2, no question, but they will literally wait for the last couple of days and just turn and say, okay, let's do it. Also very telling that they are talking about the new signings here, and the way they're trying to entice them here is to talk about competing and winning titles and stuff like that, and the fact that it's easier to bring them here at this minute in time because they have everything to play for, and that might well be the carrot that they dangle to perhaps a key number 9 sitting in the Premier League or whatever that's not getting a game, and they can turn on and say, look, come up here, come and score us a dozen goals and you'll be a hero forever up here, kind of thing, is the way they might try and throw it out to people. I'm not privy to any information here, Stevie, but I'm a little bit like you. I'm actually quite excited about the way they've kind of put the party line out, if you know what I mean, is that we've done our key business. These are the 3 guys that we really wanted to get. We've got all 3 of them, and from here we can sit and play a game of chess until things start to move properly. And I think that's probably where we're at. And listen, this is great, Stevie. I look at this as a Rangers fan that sat and watched us over the last 3 or 4 years in a January window. I've lost all my hair in Januaries, mate. It all goes in Januaries when these windows are open, because we don't do very well at them. And this one, we have been brilliant. I mean, we have been absolutely fantastic as a club. Where we were laughing last week because we were moaning in the first week we've not got any in, then bang, a week later we've got 3 in. And it's the 3 that the club wanted, and we cannot complain with that, Stevie. So anything else we get is a proper bonus, and I do expect, as you say, 1 or 2 of them commit, 1 or 2 of them to come in, because the club, the owners, the board, they all seem very, very calm about the situation. They've got that recruitment team, as they're calling it now. What was it? I think it's Andrew Kavanagh, Fraser Thornton, Greta Steinson, Dan Purdy, and Danny Rule, and that's not going to change. So they are very, very aware of everything that's going on, mate. So I'm actually quite excited by the way they've went about that.
It was Mark Haitley that said at the live show that Dan Purdy was the one that was the most impressive, and he was really impressed with the ideas and the businesses he's going to do. So yeah, that's an exciting one for us. I don't think there's any danger of Rangers saying we're done. I'm more excited about what they're waiting for, and that to me is because they've been really proactive and positive, nailed 3 good signings, Scovels and potential to be a fantastic one, and now they're patiently waiting. What they're patiently waiting for, that to me is exciting. So it's one to watch. I think when we talk about a couple of things that are appearing in the chat, can we cancel loans? What we send Giga, Cornelius, Aaron's back and stuff? The answer is no. I said this a way back in November and December on the podcast that we will not cancel the loans, and we won't, because we're not looking for a centre back, and we're not going to put ourselves in that position with Sterling's injuries and uncertainties. I'd be amazed if we cancel Max Aarons. It might happen in the run up to the window closing, but at this moment in time, there is no indication that that's going to happen. Plus, Rangers would need to pay a lot of money if these things were going to happen. It's different if Bournemouth come to us and say Max Aarons isn't getting the regular game time we want, and there's an opportunity of another loan where he might. That's different for Rangers. Then they don't pay to get out of that and stuff like that. But if you're actually cancelling things, then it becomes different. Also, 2 of our loans As I understand it, Mikey Moore and Jerry McHoma are under 21 and don't count towards the loan total, which is why we're able to brought in. So if we cancel things, there could be financial penalties. It could cost Rangers money. We're not going to do it. So in answer to that, I'm surmising a lot, but I don't think that that's going to be the route we go down. Everything's changeable, absolutely. In terms of people being frustrated, they aren't going out again. The way I look at it is Joe Rothwell, Kieran Dowell, Rabbi Matondo, maybe even Danny, and a few good others if you chuck in by Rami and things like that. And then you look at Inciala and stuff like that. These guys are all on a lot of money, whether it's 4 or 5 grand or at the other scale, 30 grand. Teams are not going to move for a player like that early on in the January window, and it costs them 100 grand in wages to the end of January. So they're going to wait, and they are going to most likely see how things progress towards the end of the window. I would expect that Dowell, Matondo, Rothwell, etc. will move on. And I thought they were very professional, by the way, on Friday night when they come on. I thought they'd done their job absolutely fine. So I don't kind of concern myself. There was a comment as well about having a massively high wage bill. We don't. Our wage bill is in the 50-60%. That was clarified to us a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not concerned. Would I like them all to go out yesterday? I think I would. Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. But I'm trying to look at it being more pragmatic, more looking at it from a business point of view. As you said, the market is slow. You're not going to pay Joe Rothwell 30 grand a week when you're going to get him at the end of January anyway. If you're Dundee, if you're Derby or Sheffield United, who have been linked from, for example. So I do think that those deals will come. Lyle Cameron has went out on loan, much to Sheepy's dismay, and immediately becomes man of the match, as you would expect. He'll do well for them. And I think most likely he'll move on. And I had a conversation with a lad in the comments who was having a bit of a go at me for suggesting that Lyle Cameron would go out on loan. It just became pretty obvious to me that he wasn't wanted by Danny Rule, and that's Danny's choice. So I do think more will go out. I'm trying to look at it in that frame of mind and be a bit more understanding of the business side of it, instead of just throwing my toys out the pram and going, why haven't we got rid of these guys yet? Maybe there's stuff going on that we don't know about. Maybe there's deals waiting to happen. Maybe teams are just sitting back a wee bit and waiting to get them at the last possible moment to save themselves financially. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does make sense, particularly with guys like Rothwell and Dowell, because it's a different game down there sometimes, Stevie. You know yourself, whether it's a Sheffield United, a Derby, a Birmingham, where Kieran Dowell went last season in League One. They have massive squads. Their wage bills are ridiculous for the size of clubs that they are, because there's an ultimate pot of gold at the end of it for these teams that they go all in to try and get out of that league. And I do agree with you that it's absolutely pointless for them until they get some of their wheeling and dealing done to go and bring such a high earner as perhaps Joe Rothwell is into the football club. And I've got to say, I totally agree with you regarding Friday night. I thought Rothwell and Dowell were absolute professionals in the way they went about that. I thought Kieran Dowell was my man of the match. Actually, I thought he did an absolutely terrific game. I genuinely did. I thought he was fantastic. His header was Heatley-esque. His wee push through for Finlay Curtis for Miofsky's second goal was a thing of beauty. He really did play well. I thought Joe Rothwell, I know it's only Annan, but it was one of the best games he's had for us. I thought he was excellent. So it does make sense what you're saying to me, because as I say, these clubs are carrying bloated squads anyway in the championship. So they've no great rush because they've got plenty of cover. But they know full well that perhaps a Joe Rothwell might well make that difference. But they're not going to, as you say, go and spend £100,000 on it when they don't need to. When it's going to cost them probably the best part when you add it all up of £1 million. for 4 or 5 months, they might as well save a few quid. So I understand what you're saying. My concern is, we mentioned this again last week, Stevie, is that we are carrying an awful lot of wastage, I called it last week. And I do mean that. I think there's an awful lot of, we have a number of players there that just aren't contributing at all, Stevie. And it made perfect sense for Lyle Cameron to go to Aberdeen. Aberdeen, not an English club, as we clearly know, but they need a player like Lyle Cameron. They're not getting results. They need a creative player in the attacking.
We should also be using our players to send them to smaller teams like Aberdeen, Kenny.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do. We absolutely should. And it's the same that I would expect Finlay Curtis to go out towards the end of this window as well. I really do. The rumour is that he'll go down to Kilmarnock. There was the rumour of him going down to Kilmarnock in the summer as well, and it fell through, but for whatever reason. But I expect a few of our players to go out on loan. But we've got so many players I'd like to see go, Stevie, and I keep saying it, that if we could get perhaps the 10 players that don't contribute to the first team out, you're talking £200,000 a week. What a difference that would make if we could turn around and put that into players that are going to contribute. So between this window and the summer, I think you could see an awful lot of improvements in terms of the squad depth. That's what I would say at Rangers, and that's what concerns me ultimately. Whether players are coming or going, the players that are going don't really concern me, Steve. If they're not contributing, they're better going elsewhere. But for me, it's about us being able to bring a player on a similar type of wage that's going to contribute. That's massive for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, I hope you have enjoyed the show this evening. Kenny and I done our very best. What we're going to do and what we're looking for is, we have 741 members. You can become a member. Oh, I've done it right by scanning the QR code up there for as little as 99 pence. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your opportunity to come on Four Lads members. We are actively looking for people to podcast with us. Last year we chose Mark, and Mark's been a great part of the team, and we chose Amrit, who has become everybody's favourite. So if you feel like you've got the voice, if you feel like you want the opportunity, please get in touch with us at fourladsadream@gmail.com. And we can facilitate that. We'll get you on to Rangers First and Favourites with Davey. We'll see how you handle that. And then we've got ideas for shows. We have several nights a week that are free. Tuesdays, Thursdays, every second Sunday. So can you add something to that? Can you do your own show? Could we do something that just got members on to discuss stuff and tell us our opinion? So yeah, that's what we're looking for. If you want to become a member, if you want to add a show, then get in contact with us. As I said, we're very keen to give people their opportunity. We've done it with Amrit, we've done it with Mark, and they've been great. So want to join Four Lads and get that opportunity, please get in touch with us, and we'll get back to you. Kenny, my friend, thank you as ever. It's been an interesting one. We're back Wednesday night with Chris, and yeah, we're looking forward to the numbers and the support lately. Has been absolutely fantastic. So we continue to do as best we can.
Absolutely do, mate. And you know, when you think this is 2 years ago this month, this podcast started, mate, we've went from strength to strength. We've done a half decent job at it, and I can't disagree with you at all. I'd love to see some of the viewers come on and have a go. Talent out there amongst the Rangers supporters, mate. You've seen it with, as you say, Amrit and Mark, two absolutely top additions to what we have already agreed on many times, mate. It's the best team we've ever had. It's such a strong team of podcasters that we've got, and boys behind the scenes like Stu and etc. You know, other boys that properly contribute you never see them on the screen, but we've got such a fantastic team, and I wouldn't change this team for the world, but we'd love to add to it, because as you say, we've got loads of slots that we want to fill and make this the biggest and best there is. So please hop on board and become a member and take your opportunity if you want it, because it's there for you. It's there for everybody. This is a fan-led organisation at the end of the day, isn't it? It's that's how we started, mate. You started Four Lads writing. I was writing before. That's what we did. We moved over to this because nobody can be asked reading anymore. So that's why we just talk about it. But going from strength to strength, mate, and the amount of people that sign up to become a member on this podcast is mad. Actually, is it 750 or something like that we've got at the minute, somewhere around that? That is insane amount of people, and I can't thank them enough for it, because it's very humbling, and we feel very privileged when you see that kind of number, because there's very few getting those kind of numbers, mate, and it shows that, if anything else, that we as a team are doing something right. We've got good podcasters that can carry their voices, put it that way. So yeah, thanks for having me on tonight. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Question: what about more collaborations with other podders, perhaps smaller channels? There's only so many days of the week, and I do my very best. We all do, to go on. We've been on the Ulster Boys channel. I'm going to go on with Ross, and soon on his new channel, I'm going to go over on Ross Clark's one as well. And I've only got so many days, so we will do as best we can. The once in a month podcast with CJ and David over at Heart and Hand will continue. Also, we're looking to do more live shows, but at some point I've got to spend time with the people I love as well. So yeah, there's a balance there. And just to point out as well, you don't have to be bald to apply. It does help. It gets you straight through the initial stages, but hairy people are allowed.
I want to say a quick shout out to Ross Clark. We met him at the live show. I met him at the live show. Lovely lad. Good chap. Good lad.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there. Absolutely, and we'll be happy to speak to any of them and go on and do whatever. Folks, on a Monday evening, there's 2,300 people watching across all platforms, and we love that. Thank you for all your support. Huge thanks to our sponsors: Rhino Express, Clydeview Fire Protection and Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Candid, and our Sunday show sponsor, our local dart shop online. Thanks to Johnny, Amrit, Carlo and the team, Ian again, and Jim and Mando and all the team over there. You guys help us enormously, and all your support is absolutely appreciated. Do we have a phone in? We absolutely don't have a phone in, and we most likely wouldn't do a phone in. Would we do live things for others? Like, could you email in and stuff like that? Yeah, but would we do that? Absolutely no, we would not. So I don't think that's feasible, but we are open to other ideas, and if you have some, please get them in. Huge thanks to everybody that's joined us tonight. Massive thanks to Kenny, as always. We'll be back on Wednesday evening at 7:30 for the podcast on Wednesday evening. It will definitely be Kenny and Chris on with you, and we will see who else. So yeah, have a brilliant evening. Thanks everybody for joining us. Take care. Be nice to each other. That's important. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.